Welcome to our Modern Wealth podcast, where we aim to empower, enrich, and evolve your lives. Every single week, we invite absolutely amazing guests to share their journeys in entrepreneurship, in their business, in their life, on how they've excelled, how they've gone to new heights, new levels. And today, I am very, very excited. It is our very first time. It is my very first time introducing a powerhouse female speaker onto our podcast, and her name is Huihui. You might not know her, you will know her very, very soon, but she has inspired me. She has blown my mind with her achievements in the last couple of years. She's an absolutely incredible entrepreneur, a coach who has empowered women from all across the world, literally, right? And when I looked at what she was doing online, I told myself, like, oh, shit, I need to learn from this lady, right? I need to find out exactly what her secret sauce is. So today's episode is going to be pretty special because I'm going to dive deep into how this amazing entrepreneur built a business from scratch, literally, in the last 2.5 years, to having revenue of over $2 million, right? In her very first 12 months, she clocked over $1 million in her business, where she helped create and craft high-ticket offers for coaching clients to help create six-figure income, and not just income, but impact across the world, right? The stories that she will share that her clients have achieved is incredible. And not only that, right? Some of you guys might be familiar with Tony Robbins. With Tony Robbins, she's one of the top affiliates in the world. Guys, Tony Robbins is no joke, right? He's the biggest self-development guy who I've invested tens of thousands of dollars in, right? And Huihui right here,
yep,
right, who is a complete underdog, right? Beat some of the best internet marketers in the world to become a top 10 affiliate, which is mind-blowing. I need to find out exactly how she did it, right? So what's the secret sauce, how she did it? So again, I think I'm talking too much. Huihui, thank you so much for coming in the show.
Thanks for having me.
Huihui, if you can, thank you so much for coming again one more time. If you can just share the audience, right? Who are you, right? What do you do, and what's your background?
Sure. So basically, I've been an entrepreneur for 19 years, right? But growing up, I've always been a very shy, very introverted girl, and I was always playing alone with my mom because my siblings were much older than me. But throughout all these growing up years, right, I always wanted to become an entrepreneur because I see my dad running his own business, right? And it's kind of cool to be sitting on his boss chair, right, and looking at how he runs his business. And I always wanted to be doing that. So in my first job, which was being a book editor, right, I decided that I'm not going to be staying there for very long. I want to actually come out and start my own business. But because I was so shy and introverted, I actually had difficulties speaking in public. So in the first few years as an entrepreneur, right, it wasn't easy for me to start out. And when I started my retail business, in retail, right, you've got to talk to a lot of customers and all that. I used to, when I have 5 or 6 customers in front of me, I used to run away to the toilet and hide.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was only after 11 years, that was when I started to hone my public speaking skills and learn to talk to people more, right, and come out a little bit of my shyness. And later on, when COVID came, because of my retail business, we were running a lot of events for sales, and also because we have a lot of factories from China as well producing our products. But when COVID came, right, it completely just wiped out my business by 80% because we couldn't get our products in and we couldn't do our events anymore. So basically, I was sitting there for 18 months with nothing to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
So your retail, but what exactly were you doing in retail, and how do you get started in that initially?
I was doing children's shoes.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was actually, a lot of it was by accident, right? Basically, I was just trying to sell some stuff on eBay, and then I realized that there was one of the hottest selling products called Zuzu pads in that year, in 2009, right? And then we basically, me and my partner Martin, we basically found this. We did a lot of research, 3 months of research. And we found this product that was hot selling in other parts of the world. But in Singapore, no one was buying it. And so we bought basically all the Zuzu Pets toys during Christmas time, right, in Singapore. And then we sold them on eBay to US, to Australia, to Germany. And that was how it started.
Wow.
And from there, right, in fact, during that Christmas season, that was every 24 hours, we had to run to or Toys R Us or Giant or wherever that was selling all these Zuzu pairs in Singapore. I think we practically bought all the products.
Wow. So you were buying all these products and basically reselling them on eBay across the world.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay,
exactly.
Okay. What kind of margins was it for that business?
Because that product was sold out in their countries,
So it's, wow.
we were selling like about 3 to 4 times the price.
Wow, that's
and people,
crazy.
This crazy.
People were willing
Yeah,
to
and
buy.
people actually set up a website
Wow.
that tells where you can buy this in real time.
Wow.
And they will say, oh, it's sold out in Walmart, it's sold out in Target.
So it wasn't a seasonal thing. It lasted for how long, or was it just
Just for a Christmas season.
just for Christmas season?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then after that Christmas season, right, I realized that the kids niche was a great niche to be in.
Okay.
But what other products could we sell there, right? That was when I started to look at maybe there's a market there. So we went to do some customer research and all of that. And that's when I realized that if this is a good niche, what do they need?
Okay.
Yeah, so we started to talk to manufacturers. We went to China to do some research, attended a lot of trade shows. And that's when we came up with our very first product called cloth diapers.
Okay.
Yeah, for babies.
Cloth diapers.
Cloth diapers for
Okay,
babies.
okay.
Yeah, they are reusable cloth diapers.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
This is which year?
Back in 2009.
2009 cloth diapers. Okay,
Yeah,
interesting.
that was the era when Singapore parents weren't really using that.
Yeah. Definitely. I don't think so.
Yeah, so we actually we kind of like invented brought in this new trend of combining bamboo fabric with cloth diapers.
Okay.
So that was kind of our product, and the whole thing just took off.
Wow.
After that. And so later on in the next year, our customers came to us and say, we can't find nice children's shoes, so can you find some shoes for us?
Okay.
And that's when I started looking at what the market is, what designs are. And in Singapore, there weren't a lot of choices.
Okay.
So I started to go to all the different factories and look at what designs are available around the world, what is working, right? And what works for children's feet development.
Okay.
And that's when, after a few months of research, we started our own brand of kids' shoes.
Can I ask you?
Yeah.
So in this initial phase of because obviously it's a completely different business what you do today, right?
Right.
But what were some of the key characteristics that you picked up? What are some of the key skill sets you picked up that has really translated today in whatever's working today?
Yeah. So these are the things that I'm always teaching my clients. The first thing, right, in business is always finding out what people want.
Finding out what people want. Okay.
Right.
Great.
So you gotta have a target audience first.
Yeah.
Right. And know from your target audience what do they want, right? And then once you know exactly what they want, then you can go out and find it for them.
Okay.
So if you know what that problem is and you can help them solve that problem, right, they're ultimately going to pay you for that solution.
Yeah. Actually, it's something so simple but so profound.
Exactly.
Because sometimes people put out stuff which nobody wants.
Yeah.
Then obviously you don't make any money.
Exactly.
Correct
exactly.
not?
So the first
Right?
thing is
But
always
if
asking.
you are as intimate as possible with your target audience, if you can find out exactly what they want, you can go and craft an offer, you can go and craft the products to give them what they want. And
exactly.
they're willing to pay you their money for the exchange of product service, right?
Exactly. So in my coaching business right now, how I started was I was just giving free classes for 3 months. And in the second week after I was giving free classes, someone came to me and said, someone who was attending my free classes, there were just about 10 of them at that point in time. One of them came up to me and said, "Can you be my coach?" And I said, "Well, I'm not a coach. I'm just giving them some free classes on how to create a course, right? Thinking that after 3 months of helping them with creating a course, I'm just going to go back to my retail business." And then she came to me and said, "No, what? I have this dream. I want to help women after menopause to regain their vitality." And she started sharing with me how she didn't like her job and she really wants to start her own business. And I realized that when someone tells you their dream, right, it kind of like, I feel a responsibility to help her fulfill her dream. And that was how it started. And even though I didn't know how to be a coach at that time, I still said yes to her. And then I went to figure out how.
Wow, that's incredible, man. Okay, so let's just rewind a bit. Let's rewind a bit, right?
Yeah.
So COVID happened.
Yeah.
This retail side of things just gone, right? Because factories are shut down.
That's right.
Couldn't get your shoes.
Yeah.
How do you feel, right? Like, did you have ample savings? Were you in a place where, how was it like? Because, COVID was a very serious period. Like, I've got my own stories of COVID as well, but, how was it like for you?
It was, well, It was okay at first, but we didn't know it's going to drag so long.
Okay.
Right, but then all of our savings just diminished because we still have to pay for our warehouse.
Yes.
We still have to pay for our staff.
Yep.
Right, and we still have to pay for a lot of overheads. Even though we weren't selling, but the overheads were still there in the business, and so I was actually pretty devastated. And in 2020, I actually went into depression for a while.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was only until in June 2020, I was attending this webinar online, right, by this digital marketer, and he was sharing with us how he started his business, and he was very inspiring because he had a global business, and he was helping a lot of people online.
Who was this?
Peng Jun.
Oh, Peng Jun's. Okay,
Yeah.
good friend of mine.
Yeah, right. I eventually joined his my mentor as well. Yeah, yeah. So, and I realized that what he was doing, what he was teaching, was something that I really wanted to do for 14 years. So 14 years ago when I attended, T.F. Ecker?
Of course.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So after I attended his program, Quantum Leap, right, I've got this dream that I want to be a speaker, trainer, and a coach. But I went into retail after that because I thought that, well, I'm so young, I can't do that, right? I can't be a speaker. I can't teach people. So, but after watching what Peng Jun did, I kind of felt, what if I had gone ahead and did it anyway, right? Would I be living the kind of life that he's living? Would I be able to inspire people that way, right? So after his webinar, I actually went to my partner and I cried for 30 minutes. And it felt like, have I just wasted my life for the last 11 years?
Wow.
Yeah, so that was kind of like a huge wake-up call for me, right? And a few months later, I was talking to this six-figure coach, and she was the only coach I knew at that time, and she seems pretty established. So I was telling her that I want to be a speaker, a trainer, and a coach. And I asked her, do you think I can be one? Right? And she said, we were on Zoom at that time, right? And she looked at me sternly in the eyes. I can still remember her stare. And she said, Huihui, you're so shy and introverted, you can't speak well, and you don't even have a social media following. Who are you to become a coach? And when she said that, right, I was just, when someone say something like that to you in the face, I was just, my heart just totally just dropped. It was,
huh?
yeah, it's like, oh gosh. And after that, I truly just gave up on the dream. Because I believe that if someone experienced as her can say that, then it must be true.
It must be true. It must be so, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Then it was only after I attended this Tony Robbins event, right? And one of the speakers, Dean Graziosi, he said, you only need to be one chapter ahead. You don't need to be so experienced. You don't need to be certified.
You need to be one step ahead.
Yeah, just one step ahead, right? And so I took those words seriously, and that's when I started to have this group of 10, right? And teaching them, well, because we were all taking the course together, right? I was thinking that, well, if I can help them to produce that course, that would be pretty amazing. So every week after attending Dean's classes, I would then come to them and say, let's revise, right? And let's get something out. And I didn't know that in 2 weeks, someone is going to come to me and say, Huihui, can you become my coach?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you all just stem from wanting to give, wanting to serve, wanting to help, right? And the word I think you used was revise. Let's revise this together.
Yeah.
And then somebody came up to say, I want to be coached by you.
Exactly.
Wow, incredible, incredible.
Yeah.
Look at that. Right?
It's amazing.
So just to share, right? I don't know if we can have snippets, if you can provide the snippets, but you were very distinct in my memory, right? Because even though it's our first time meeting, very, very distinct in my memory because I was in the group as well, right? During COVID, I think it was your future challenge, own your future,
own your future challenge,
right?
Yeah.
I see the memory is coming back to me right now. I was in own your future challenge, and I remember you were posting, after day one, you post your summarized notes.
Yeah.
It was quite cool. I think you drew pictures and all that, right?
Yeah. So I basically created all on Canva.
You created on Canva. You had the pictures, and it was just very, very succinct. It was very nice. It was very artistic. Right? Maybe that came from your designing children's shoes background, huh?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I still remember that it was very, very clear, and obviously, a lot of people loved it, right? There's a lot of likes, a lot of comments, a lot of people saying, "Oh, thank you so much, thank you so much," for all that stuff. But yeah, it was just created, and it was created differently. Yeah. It was created with effort, lah.
Thank you.
Right? It was created with effort, right?
Yeah.
Which, look, wait, I remember 4 years later. right?
Wow.
I literally
Thank
remember
you.
4 years
Thank
later,
you.
right? And I
Thank
looked through
you.
a lot of things, but that was so distinct in my mind, right?
Thank
it was
you.
just, again, you know, doing things with love, with passion, and doing things differently, right? Putting that tinge of effort, it really counts a lot and really makes a huge difference.
Thank you.
Right? So again, it was really, really amazing. So that's basically what you did.
Yep.
And I assume people were commenting, they were following and all these different
Oh
things.
yes, yeah. We've got tens of thousands of comments, likes, and then we've got over 5,000 over comments.
Wow.
And people were sending me DMs, telling me how grateful they were, telling me about their life situations, what happened to them, and why they appreciate their notes. Because during COVID, a lot of them, either their family members were hospitalized, or they themselves were hospitalized, or their kids, or they lost their jobs, and that's why they appreciated those notes so much.
Wow.
Yeah, and I saw this message by this lady, Elizabeth, and when I saw that message, right, she said, Huihui, you're just giving me the pathway back to action. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And when I saw that message, right, it kind of it reminded me of the time when I just started my business, when I was just starting out. I was in China, right? And those first 6 years in my entrepreneurial journey were just very, very tough. So at that time, I was in an MLM business, right? I went to China, and I basically rented this this little space in an apartment, right? Someone's living room, and it was for about $10 a night. And I bought a mattress for $50. And I spent 30 days in Guangzhou in China trying to build a business from scratch there. And I remember that was during winter time, and it was very cold. And it was my birthday month as well. And that night on my birthday, I was just lying on that mattress and just covered my head with the blanket. And I was just sobbing underneath my blanket, trying to make myself as inconspicuous and as quiet as possible. Because I was just so miserable. I was struggling. I didn't know what to do. No one was teaching me how to grow my business, right? And I was remembered when I saw Elizabeth's message, it reminded me of that time and how difficult it was if there was no one to lift you up or to pull you up, to actually show you a way. And that was when that message gave me my first calling.
Wow, incredible, incredible. Can I just share something with you?
Sure.
You're a coach with a heart.
Thank you.
I know after speaking to tens of thousands of people, I've coached a lot of people, right? This lady right here is a coach with a heart. She has a heart for people. Hey, you cannot deny. I can sense. We probably can feel it through the camera as well, right? But seriously, that explains the success. It explains the millions of dollars, right? For real, guys. When you serve from your heart, when you give in a position where you truly want to give, magic happens. You understand?
Yeah.
Right, 100%. Sorry, I'm just I'm getting goosebumps myself.
Thank you. I have a saying, right, that I always tell my clients, love is the energy of abundance. Right? When you love and you give, you're going to get something back. And that is not just money that you get back, you get a lot of fulfillment as well.
Amazing, right? So again, that 10 days you had this one person come up to you. How did that become a business?
Well, after 2 weeks, she came out to me. The second week, another one person came out to me, right? And then later on, that's when I realized that, oops, maybe there's something that I need to do. Okay. That's when I started to think about it seriously. Okay. About starting a coaching business. Okay. Right, and I started to seek out mentors and how do I go about becoming a coach? Sure. Yeah, and from that group, I grew it to about 28 people. It was a closed group. I didn't want to even open up to new people. Sure. And from there, for 3 months, I just coached them, show them what to do, right? And you was coaching them specifically on? Creating a course. Creating, their own class. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yep. And from there, 8 of them came into my program. Wow. Yeah. And how do you, when the first person asked you, how do you figure out how to charge, how much do you ask and stuff? Because it was completely new to you, yeah? Yeah, right. And the figure just came into my mind. And I just gave her a figure, right? 4,800 for a year. Yeah. And she said, yes. I'm like, oh shit. And you just have her, huh? Yeah, right. Wow. And I was surprised that she would actually pay in full for someone who has just known me for 2 weeks. 2 weeks, huh? Yeah, right. Crazy. And then the second person came to me. I gave her another price. Yeah. Right. This time I increased it. Okay. And the second person paid. Yeah. And I was, wow. Now I really need to figure out how to
A coach.
a coach, right? And so that's when I started to create a workshop,
Okay.
teaching them how to actually get the course out within 3 days.
Okay.
Yeah, and 8 of them, there were 24 people inside that group,
Yep.
right? And 10 of them actually attended the course.
Okay.
From there, a few of them actually became my clients after the workshop.
Okay.
So that was how it all started.
And that's how it all snowballed, huh?
Yeah. So I believe that you got to start by creating a community,
Okay.
right? And once that community become your raving fans,
Yeah.
right? You've got that confidence and that certainty that your stuff works, right? So you've got a first proof of concept, and when you've got that first proof of concept, right? That's when you can start to grow it to more people, right? And then from there, when you start to grow your community, and your raving fans start to tell people about you, you're getting referrals, you're getting amazing testimonials, right? And that's when things just organically grows, right?
And it's crazy because, whatever you've built so far has been organic, right?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? That's
I haven't
crazy.
been running ads.
You haven't been running ads?
Yeah, no.
Wow, guys, again, that is, again, more than $1 million in the very first year, US dollars, close to over $2 million in, 2.5 years, right? And 0 ads, all organic.
All organic.
Wow, that really says something about, the value they provide, because referrals must have been crazy, huh?
Yeah, we do a lot of value within our community,
Okay.
right? And the interactions, because I believe that in this day and age, right? We talk about email list, we talk about having a very engaged email list,
Yes.
and all of that, right? But I believe that every company should have an engaged community.
Okay.
And when you have a very engaged community, right, that is how people are going to stay with you for a long time. And rather than getting a lot of new clients or new customers, right, your clients and your raving fans, right, are going to get you more of them, right? So imagine if they really love you and they refer you, right, and they tell more people about you. That's how the word of mouth is just going to spread, right? And so it all starts off first with how to create a good product.
Wow.
How do we think about helping them get the results, right? How do we actually build real relationships? So one of the key things, right, that I believe when it comes to building a community, right, it all starts off first with how do you build that true relationship? Because a lot of people that I see right now in the digital marketing space, they're looking at numbers.
Okay.
They're looking at statistics.
Metrics, yes.
Metrics, right?
Yeah.
Everything is, you got to run your business by metrics and all that. But while that is important, I believe that relationships are very important as well.
Oh, it's far more important.
Yeah, we got to see people as people and not see people as numbers.
Absolutely.
Too many people are seeing people as numbers, right? And so that's why the connection is not there. But when you start to see them as people, when you start to see them as this is a real person with a real problem, with something that needs to be solved, how can I help this person solve that, right? So one of the things
It's really bring the human touch to business, huh?
Exactly.
Right, rather than just metrics. Again, coming from big organizations where everything is just metrics and numbers, this is a whole different way of looking at things, right?
Yes.
But it's very, very important, especially starting
It is.
out, the relationships and everything.
Exactly.
Sometimes you grow to a certain size where suddenly you just start thinking of numbers, metrics, but it's really, right, who are you serving, what this person's true problems, how can you actually really solve them?
Yep.
And when you have the heart to connect, then things really change, right?
Exactly.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. Incredible,
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
So again, that was a major success, your own business, that cause creation, mission to movement. But you had this crazy story behind Tony Robbins, that affiliate thing. Can you just tell the audience what happened, that huge achievement, and how you managed to achieve that?
Sure. It was actually 3 years in the making.
3 years in the making?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me more.
The first year was when I started with the Own Your Future Challenge as an affiliate. That's
Yes.
why I had to give free classes, because I was giving it as a bonus.
Okay.
3 months of free classes for them as a bonus for buying the program from me.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was the first year. And in that first year, I only had like 20 over sales.
Okay.
And I wasn't even ranked.
Okay.
Right, but it got me a little bit behind the scenes of what it truly looks like to become an affiliate.
Okay.
So in the second year, that's when I kind of have a slightly bigger dream.
Okay.
I wanted to take a photo with Tony.
Okay.
Yeah. So and Dean, right? And so I started to think about how can I get into the top 20.
Sure.
Because if I get into the top 20, I will actually be able to spend one day masterminding with Dean, right? And perhaps to see Tony.
Sure.
Yeah. So that was when I started to rally around my community,
Okay.
telling them that I've got this dream
Okay.
and can they support me?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what they did.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had this campaign where I asked them to send me to top 15.
Okay.
And
You had a campaign, say again?
I had a campaign during the affiliate launch to ask them to send me to top 15.
Okay.
And they sent me to top 13.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was in the second year.
Wow.
Yeah, and subsequently, in the third year, right, I asked them to send me to top 10. And they sent me to top 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you say they send you, like how did they send you there?
Right, so basically, couple of things that I did, right? When it comes to becoming an affiliate for someone, right? First of all, you got to believe in that product.
Sure.
Right, you got to see that how that product is going to help your people.
Sure.
Right, and so that's what I did. I see where the problems that for my community, right, for my audience, what problems are they facing right now, and then how can Tony and Dean's product help them. Okay. Right, and from there, that's when I help them to see that. If they are able to get, if they can buy the product, right, and to solve the problem that they have currently, right, and so that's how I show them just using very simple 90-minute Zoom sessions, right. I like to keep things simple, right. I don't like to complicate it with funnels, and I mean I still do funnels and all that, but I don't like to make things too complicated. So I'm a very transparent person as well. So I'll just tell them, this is what you have, right? This is what you're facing right now, right? This is what they have. And this is how they can help you solve this problem, right? And so by doing that, you're able to then reach your next level, solve this problem to get this next level. But at the same time, why not send me to top 15? Sure. Right. Okay. And so that's what they did. Yeah. And on top of that, of course, I believe that So
at this point, how big is your community?
We've got about 4,000 people in my Facebook group and about 9,000 over followers.
Okay, cool. So with that community, you managed to actually push them to send you there, huh?
Yeah.
Wow, incredible.
It is.
So you got into what, top 5, top what?
Top 4.
Top 4 in the world.
Yeah.
This was ahead of people like?
Brandon Bouchard. Anthony Morrison.
Wow.
Yeah. Jim Quick is in number 2.
Jim Quick was number 2, huh?
Yeah.
Wow, and you're just behind.
Yeah, I'm just behind.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So you went to, Tony, the event, Mastermind Dean. What did you learn there? What are some insights that you got with regards to how these big boys...
It was amazing to be able to hang out with them, right? In the top 10, I was also able to ask a question, right, directly to Tony. And he actually answered me a couple of things as well.
What was the question, Tony?
I asked him, how do you stay in this industry for so long? To have the kind of longevity and become the legend that you are, right? And one of the key things that Tony shared, right, is that you got to, every single time he comes onto his events, he's still preparing, right? And he still spends a lot of time preparing his team. His team is preparing and he himself is preparing. So he's got like lots of notes that they are preparing for him, right? And he gave me this one thing, over-prepare.
Over-prepare.
Yeah. So when I heard that, I was like, shucks. If Tony Robbins, after 47 years, right, of experience, and he's still over-preparing.
He doesn't wing it, huh?
Yeah, right. So for us, if we're just starting out in our first few years, right, we got to do even more than that, right? We really got to bring in that kind of work ethic, right, in order to be able to deliver that kind of experience we want to give our clients, right? Yeah. And of course, he also talked about how do you build yourself up, right? Because everything is here. It's all our mindset, right? Who are we? Who do we become? Is how can we build ourselves to be the person that we want to be? And it all starts off first with this vision of who is the end person, right? And then from there, every single day, he talks about the incantations, right, that you do in order to build yourself up.
Very familiar.
Yeah, right. He talks about all those incantations, how he goes for his runs, and then he will shout out those incantations.
Sure.
Yeah, he shared all of that.
Does he do that actually?
He does.
Yeah?
Yeah. At the very beginning when he began. Okay. Right? And so that's how he became the Tony Robbins that he is now. Wow. Yeah. And he doesn't have those negative self-defeating thoughts. Right? Because he has built himself to be the Tony Robbins. Right? And so how can we then see the end of who we want to be?
Yeah.
So one of the things that that I think about, right, is at the end of life, right?
Yeah.
Who do I want to become? And how do I want to be remembered?
How do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as someone who left an impact,
Okay.
where people will remember me for having changed their lives.
Wow.
I think that is truly fulfilling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Incredible.
To know. Yeah.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. So, Huihui, I have one final question, right, to ask you, which is this. Moving forward, in the next 5 years, what do you want to be able to achieve in your business, in your career, in what you're building? What is it that you aspire to become?
Right now, my focus is on mission and movement.
Okay.
Yeah. What is mission and movement? Mission and movement is, I believe that every single person, right, has this passion, experience, and expertise within them, right, that there's this inner mission that all of us are born with, or the reason why we came to Earth for, right? And if we can actually step out and take this mission and be able to turn that into a movement, to be able to influence the people around us, right, to have a better life, or to be able to have a better mindset, right, or to live the way we want to live our life on our own terms, that would be so empowering for a lot of people. And if collectively all of us can come together, right, taking our experience, our expertise, our passion, we can actually do a lot of good in the world. And that's what I want to be able to do. And that's the movement that I want to build right now.
Amazing.
Right? Yeah.
Okay, that's great. That's great. So inspiring to hear.
Thank
it's
you.
It's very not self-focused. It's very outward focused, and it's really about impact and making a difference. Huh?
Thank you.
I can tell that really, really, truly drives you, right?
It is.
Which is amazing. Never lose that. Never ever lose that, right?
Thank you.
I'm speaking from experience.
Thank you.
It's very important.
Thank you.
Guys, I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Make sure you like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow Huihui as well. Her links are all in the bottom. Make sure you all follow her. Give her a huge thumbs up if you all have loved the video so far. We're going to come back very, very soon for this next segment. It's going to be even more exciting. Let's go. Next up, we're going to have something absolutely incredible. For the very first time ever, we're going to set up a Q&A so that we have two other amazing guests coming through to actually dig deeper into her story, to find out a little bit more about how she built an entire empire and an entire movement as well, right? So make sure you tune in for the next segment. I feel incredibly privileged right now. I mentioned Huihui that it's my very first time doing an interview with a female entrepreneur on Millionaire podcast. But now I'm with three other beautiful ladies. So I feel great, right? Gavin, thank you so much for arranging this for me. Right. So anyways, Huihui, we arranged this for a very important reason. I think two of my very good friends, Jeannie and Felicia, would love to ask you some questions and dive deeper into your mind of how you created this entire business, impacting people around the world, right? But I want to just share with you how I got to message you first, right? So it's quite interesting. I think it was just 2 weeks ago where Deborah Chung from Malaysia, right? Yeah. So she's one of my students as well. So she messages me about attending this event in Singapore about speaking and selling or something, right? Yeah. And I was like, that is totally my field. Who is this person who's doing this? I was very, very interested. I was like, yo, speaking and selling, is it, some of my other friends? And she told me it was you. And I was like, wow, I never knew you did this, right? So I was asking her, how are you spending this money? Come down here and stuff. So she asked me to check you out. So I went on to Facebook and I was very impressed. I think impressed is an understatement, right? Like, with regards to your engagements, your following, your comments, and the people raving. And then you had this international event, where people from around the world flew in, right? Yeah. People came from how many countries?
26 countries.
26 countries around the world, right? As far as?
As far as Canada.
As far as Canada,
yeah, and the furthest one flew 36 hours.
36 hours to see you?
Yeah.
Wow,
to attend the event.
To attend the event to see you, right? Wow, that's incredible. As in, it's a very, very big honor, right? Crazy.
I was truly humbled by it.
Yeah, absolutely, right? So this event was how many years in the making? Tell us about this event that you did and stuff.
So it's actually a speak and sell intensive, right? I actually teach them how to run a 5-day challenge inside this event. And I actually thought about doing it only in November last year. Yeah. and I only started playing it for it in January.
Wow.
Yeah.
In January, and then all these people came. How many people? How many people? I think there was
40
people
of them.
who actually flew down from all over the world.
Yeah.
So can you first share with the audience, how do you build this international audience first and foremost?
I was in the Tony Robbins group.
Okay, so that was mainly how?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. And I was sharing my notes, and many of them actually reached out to me after that.
Okay.
Yeah, so asking me what I was doing, right? And I shared with them what I was doing, and some of them said, I want to be a coach, so can you show me how?
Interesting. So so step number one, provide value in the international group.
Yep.
Right, where you have people from all across the world.
Yeah.
So it's not just a local kind of thing, right? Because
right.
again, your audience, people who are raving fans, many of them, I would say, what's the percentage like Singapore versus outside?
80% of my clients are from US, Europe, Australia.
US, Europe. Wow,
Yeah.
wow. So no Asia.
Less than 10, about 10%.
Less than 10% from Asia. Okay,
yeah.
cool. Do you think that was a smart move?
Oh,
Do you
well,
prefer it? What's the difference?
I actually like it, right? In the beginning, it was a little bit tough for me because I wasn't used to speaking English in the way that everyone can understand me.
You
So
speak perfectly well, what?
yeah, but in the first 3 months, right, I had to learn how to pronounce and enunciate in a way that everyone can understand me. And the craziest thing was I had to learn how to understand English in the American accent, British accent,
okay.
Australian accent, Spanish accent, Italian accent, French accent,
Wow.
right? And honestly, in 3 months in, right, I actually had a breakdown where I had a phobia of speaking English, right, to many of them, and I actually had this meltdown in a breakout room with someone, right, and I was saying that I don't know that I can actually start to stand up and speak English again tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah, because of that. So, but eventually I did. Within 24 hours, I had another coaching call.
Okay.
So I had to do it. Yeah. So a lot of hurdles that I had to go through because we're an international audience,
Yeah.
right? But eventually learn how to speak in a way that they can understand me. Yeah. So, which is kind of cool as well. But now, and to be able to get to know everyone from different countries, learn about their cultures, learn about some of them, their habits are very different from ours, and then to be able to think about the different time zones, because
exactly.
for us, right, daytime is their nighttime, right, and to be able to cater to the time zones for everyone around the world was kind of a challenge as well.
Yeah, for sure. Are you nocturnal? Do you not sleep at night?
Some of my clients asked me this question, do you ever sleep?
Yeah.
In the first 12 months of running the business, I was working basically about 12 to 16 hours every day.
Wow.
Yeah, sleeping about maximum 6 hours.
Because of the time zones, and you have to be out 2 a.m. in the morning to speak to them and stuff, right?
Yeah. I do my coaching calls at 9 p.m. until about 11. Yeah.
9 p.m. to 11 p.m.?
Yeah, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m.
Not 9 to 11 a.m., right?
Yeah.
Just to clarify. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And sometimes when I do longer events, sometimes I do 3-day boot camps.
Yeah.
That's when I do from 7 p.m. to about 2 a.m.
Yeah. That's to cater to the international audience and everything.
Yeah, that's right. So that people in the US, it will be in the morning for them, and then people in the Europe, it will be daytime for them, right? It's just that people in Australia, we can't cater to them.
Yeah, Australia is tough.
Right,
Australians are it's difficult.
Yeah.
No, nothing fits them. Sorry to my Australian audience. But anyways. But can I ask, how is an international audience, right, different from an Asian audience? Like from your own perspective, right? If you know, but are they all the same? Are they different? You know,
They
how are
switch
they more
on the
receptive?
cameras on Zoom.
They switch on the cameras on Zoom.
Yeah, and they're more vocal. They're more willing to speak up. So we get a very interactive sessions on Zoom as well. Yeah.
Are they more willing to support and?
Yeah, they are, and they're very expressive. And many of them, even though they are introverts, but in their culture, it's very easy for them to express themselves vocally. So they all can speak well compared to me when I first began. Yeah. So to be able to see an international audience like that was quite a very refreshing thing for me, because of the level of engagements that they bring when it comes to. Let me give you an example. during our Speak and Sell intensive, the 3-day event that I did last week, right? Whenever we have a breakthrough session for them, because I was doing some mindset sessions, and some of them actually have breakthrough sessions, right? And they were so connected to one another, right? They will be practically, if one person breaks down and cries here, the group will run over to this person and they'll group hug. And it's like, you wouldn't see that in an Asian setting. Yeah. But for them,
no chance, no.
Yeah, exactly. But they're practically like running, like almost every session, there are things like that happening. And I'm just so touched to see, because they are willing to just go and support one another in that way.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's amazing to see the level of human connection. It's like, it's truly, I don't know how to describe it, but it's kind of like we don't see this on this kind of level in an Asian society as much.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah, but over there, they're just very willing to support one another and just go all out to be.
Why is that?
Why?
Why, in your opinion?
Why? It's because I set a context for them.
But why, as in, why do Asians not, why is it not our culture of sorts? I don't know, in your opinion.
I think Asians are just brought up to be more conservative. Yeah, to want to hide our feelings, right? And I feel that when we are growing up, right, we are very much told, at least for me, right, by my mom, that don't speak unless you're being spoken to, right, or just try not to shine. Or stand out too much, right? Whereas in their culture, standing out is something that's very normal for them. Yeah. So for me, growing up, right, I've always been thinking that it's better for me just to remain hidden, right, as inconspicuous as possible, because I don't want to be the one who is standing out. I don't want to be the one that is being taken notice of, right? I'd rather be the one that is taking the taking the back seat. Yeah.
Interesting.
But for their culture, it's totally different.
Yeah. That's the difference in context. Huh? And today, if you can just share the audience, what is your, I think you've kind of figured out your avatar, your target audience, right?
Yeah.
So who are the people that you generally mainly serve?
People who are in their 40s to 60s, right, who have reached a certain point in their life where they want to be able to bring more meaning to what they do, rather than just have a job, rather than just make money. They want to be able to live life on their own terms. And they want to be able to have fulfillment as well, because it's no longer just about living a life of just family, or they want to be able to extend their impact to someone else just by taking what they know with their passion and experience and expertise, and being able to reach out and help more people. Yeah, so these are my avatars.
So firstly, thank you to Rash and to Huihui. It's such a privilege, such a learning opportunity to be here. Just a quick question on what you were sharing about the audience. Is that your natural audience? So along the way, you find that you naturally attract them? Or was that a crafted audience in which you had to switch your style and curate the angles, to attract this? Because what was the process in discovering this 40 to 60 group and their needs?
Great question. It was kind of a discovery. I didn't actually really craft I discovered that because of the way I am, right? I'm a very transparent person. I like to speak what I think, right? And I don't hide. What I do, right? I'm very much who you see me on camera is who I am every day, right? And so for this group of my audience, they are looking for people that they can trust, because social media is a place where it's kind of scammy, and there are a lot of skepticism on social media as well, right? And so when it comes to social media, then who can they trust? Especially sometimes they may be a little bit afraid of technology as well, right? And so that's why they want to look for someone who is willing to share, who's willing to care about them, and also willing to just be transparent about what I've gone through, the mistakes that I've made, and just being able to tell them exactly what they have to do, right? Without trying to shield, without trying to shield, without trying to just tell them the nice things and hide the bad things, right? I tell them everything, right? Business is not the most easy thing that you have, right? You've got to be able to hustle at times. You got to have the right mindset, right? You got to do the right things, right? These are things that I always tell them. And when it comes to this particular group of audience, that's when they realize that if they can trust, right, then it is, I guess what I'm trying to say is they're really looking for people that they know is trustworthy, right? And I want to be the person that they can trust, right? And so which is why I try to be as transparent as possible about what I do, right? So that they can see that there is no, there's no need for them to fear if they want to go on this journey with me.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
Very, very important. I think that's a very, very important point, right? Like right now, who do you, with all the scams and everything that's going on, people's walls are all, up to right here.
That's right.
They second guess every other person they hear online.
That's right.
Can I trust this person? Can I not trust this person?
Yeah.
Will I get what they promised, for example? Right? And I think, being able to be the person who delivers and who they can trust is so important.
That's right.
Right?
That's
Amazing,
right.
amazing,
Yeah.
amazing.
So first of all, thank you, Huihui, because the first time I learned about you was during the Tony Robbins event where you were actually giving and sharing out your notes and seeing your exponential growth showing up. So I really felt that you really show up. And you mentioned about trust. Of course, it's about trusting others. What about that maybe that lady there who is probably one of them listening to this podcast today? Maybe fitting into your avatar and everything. But there is one thing which they actually still don't trust themselves. What would be your message to that person? Especially, I think you mentioned about women and then Asians. We are taught not to be so vulnerable. We want to always protect ourselves. So if you have a message to them, we'd love to hear that from you.
Great question. I think at the end of the day, right, I would like to say that I always come from, can we begin with the end in mind first, right? Who do you truly want to become at the end of the day, right? Because when we come to the end of the journey, right, I don't want to be able to live a life without regrets. I want to be able to live a life where I know I have done all that I can do, right? And sometimes when we think about as a woman, right, or some of you as a mom, right, or as a partner, as a wife, there are a lot of responsibilities or labels that we are putting ourselves through. Can we actually remove all those labels? Can we remove those responsibilities and think about what if I go all out? What if I just imagine if I can just put my fears aside for a while? If I can just put my limitations aside for a while? And if I can just live to my fullest potential, what would that look like? Right? And to just step in and imagine, what if there's a possibility like that? And when you can start to see the possibility, right, and to be able to imagine that that could be a beautiful life, and start to think about, right, if I want to make that happen, what do I need to do in order for me to reach there? Okay, so then to think about, I always talk about, who do I need to ask help from? What habits do I need to have in order to reach to become that kind of person, right? What kind of plan can I put out in order for me to take the steps to reach there? So I think the message that I want to send, to be able to give to all women, is that there is so much strength within all of us that if only we step up, we won't be able to discover that. And it's only when we realize that there is so much more that we can actually do to be role models for the people around us, right? Whether for your kids, whether for your community, that's when you discover that there is so much more potential that we can step into. And I find that if we can bring that curiosity, if we can bring that fun into the things that we do, right, then it becomes so much more meaningful to be able to reach those goals that we set. Yeah, so I always think about, what if we can take away all those fears? What if we can take away all those doubts? What if we can take away all those limitations and just go all out for a while? Try it on for size, right? And if it fits, good. If it doesn't fit, right, then maybe I can try something else. But for now, let's not think about that. But let's just see where I can go. And then once I reach that, let's see where else I can go, right? And be curious and bring in the fun. And then at the end of it, right, 12 months later, you look back, wow, you actually accomplished so much. Because I'm not thinking about my fears, I'm not thinking about my limitations, I'm thinking about what else? What other potential can I be? And when we start to think about that and be curious about that and make that fun, right, and make that exciting, right, then we are actually reaching the limits. We are stretching the limits further and further for us until a point where we come, like, wow, every single day or every single year, we accomplished so much more than we ever thought before. Yeah, I hope that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in, but for sure, definitely amazing. Great. Is there anything else? Yeah.
So I think Rash actually read my mind with your first question, going straight into the international audience, because I was just listing down all the questions I had. That was top of my list. So Huihui, behind the scenes, you were talking about how 80 to 90% of your clients or customers are international students, right? And I myself just came back from a few years of working and living overseas in Europe, so I know that the demographics, the nuances, it's all very, very different. For yourself, maybe this is like a two-part question. So the first part is, what are 3 practical steps that you would give to someone who is trying to establish footprint in an international audience? You mentioned one is being in a community that already has international presence. But if you can expound on that, what are 2 other practical steps? And then the next part of the question is, what are some 3 key challenges that you had to overcome because it's an international audience, and what did you do to overcome them? Is it an overload?
Cool. So when it comes to building an international audience, right, definitely we do a lot of, I grow my Facebook group, right, community from there, right, and so we go into these communities to actually get to know people, right, and from there, that's how it's kind of developed, okay, and I always encourage my clients, right, to actually go into the groups or the niches that you are in, right, and to see, because just on Facebook alone, right, not to mention many other communities offline, just on Facebook alone, there are hundreds and thousands of Facebook groups that is relevant to your niche, right? And thousands that are relevant to your niche. So if you go into all of these groups, right, you are able to then see your audience and what are the problems that they are facing. Yeah, right? And from seeing what the problems they're facing, right, that's when you can discover the kind of solutions that you can actually provide for them. So it's really going in and doing your market research in all of these Facebook groups. Yeah, you can post surveys, you can talk about your own stories, right? You can share your own milestones. And the people who relate to your stories, people who relate to your milestones, people who relate to, who answer your questions, right? They are the ones who are going to be, they'll be interested in your contents, right? And so that's when you can bring them back into your own profile and talk about your own specialty, your own expertise. Give them valuable contents in your own, on your own profile, right? Whether it's in the form of stories, whether it's the form of reels, whether it's the form of written post, right? And then from there, you bring them into your Facebook group and build your own communities. Whether right now, of course, besides Facebook group, there's school, there's other types of communities as well. You can have your WhatsApp community, you can have your Telegram communities and all of that, right? But the key is, how do you then bring them together and build a community so that they can feel that there is support for them, right? and they're not just doing this alone, or they're not just facing these problems alone. And when you can start to bring them all together, right, that's when you're going to find that there is going to be a synergy within your group. So they're not just a group anymore, they're not just a community anymore, but they're coming together and forming a tribe, supporting one another, right, to help to go beyond their problems, right? And that's how all of these bonds are being formed. And you, as a leader of the group, as the leader of your community, right, you lead them, you give them value, you show them the solutions, right, you show them the step by step, then you keep them accountable, okay? And that's how lives start changing, right? And that's how you actually begin, by building your international community. And then the ones who resonate with you, they're going to bring their friends, right? They're going to tell more people about you, and that's how your community grows. And you're going to realize that sometimes offline, there are a lot of communities like that as well, right? That you can bring back into your online communities.
Hey, I just want to ask you something.
Yeah.
You know, just now when I was talking, you were sharing something, and then I kind of interrupted you, but then you shared something about the context that you set for the people, right?
Yeah.
So what is the context that you're setting for your group such that there's all this engagement, it's this following, people supporting? What's the context that you set for them?
When it comes to my groups, right, I always tell them that I've got 5 core values when I'm looking for the people that I work with, or the people who comes into my tribe. Okay, first and foremost, you must be kind and supportive.
Okay.
Right? Second, we're looking for people who don't treat people like numbers. We are looking for people who actually treat people like people. Okay, the third one is we want people who are here to make an impact. You want to be able to help people, right? Then we want you, right? And of course, we want people who are actually action takers as well. Okay, so when they come into our community, right, they already know what my core values are, and they are all attracted by the core values, and they come in with this same alignment, right? And so, and that's when I'll tell people there are 5 core values that I don't like as well. I don't like negative and complaining people. I don't like manipulative people, right? I don't like I don't like mediocre people who just want mediocre. So one of the core values that I also talk about is excellence, because I believe that excellence is a standard, right? And so once I provide these core values, it's kind of like give people a guideline of what the behavior I want this tribe to have, right? And negative and complaining people, they naturally drift out of the groups. Yeah, right. So after a while, you start to see that they're gonna come together with the kind of culture that we want to build. So as it grows bigger, we'll just attract more of the same kind of people in, and then more of the different ones who cannot fit into this culture. They'll drop out. They'll automatically disqualify themselves. Yeah, and that's how you form a tribe that becomes bigger and stronger, but having the same kind of values. Yeah.
Amazing. Very, very nice, very nice. Anything else you want to ask?
The challenges that you face, because I believe it's not just one straight line, a lot of zigzag. And what was the biggest lesson from there? And I think most importantly is that when let's say you fall, how do you actually find that little energy to come up again, to just come back?
Cool. I think there are two things that I think will be helpful. I always talk about number one, in business, right? That is, we call this, I call this the ultimate success formula, right? There are 4 steps to this ultimate success formula. You learn, right? And then you grow. You learn and then you implement, right? And once you implement, you're going to get a lot of feedback. So once you get that feedback, right, you correct, right? Right? And then all you need to do is just repeat, rinse and repeat. But as long as you never, ever give up, right, then you're still going to get to that goal, right? So that's I believe if you keep on doing that, right, eventually you will achieve the success that you want. So that's the first thing. Second thing, right, is give yourself permission to be bad before you get good. Because I believe that a lot of people think about have the ego or start to give themselves a lot of pressure, right? They have to be a perfectionist. I have to get it right the first time, right? I've got to show up perfectly on camera. Who's gonna if they look at me on camera, right? Am I looking good, right? All of that. But if I can allow myself to be bad, right, before I get good at this, it's gonna take a lot of pressure off, right? And then the first time that you do it, it becomes much easier. the first time you do it, you're going to get feedback. Then the second time is going to become easier. The third time is going to be even easier, right? But most people don't even start. Most people don't even get to that second time. Because why? After doing the first time, they beat themselves up, right? So if we can constantly let me give you an example. I was in Russell Brunson's inner circle, right? All of them are 7-figure entrepreneurs there. And every single time we go for the mastermind, I have to give a 12-minute presentation. So imagine, right, standing in front of a group of 7-figure entrepreneurs, right? I feel massive imposter as well, right? But I tell myself, what if I can go in with the attitude of, I just give myself permission to be bad before I get good, right? So then I wouldn't have that kind of pressure, and I can just focus on serving them. What do they need? What is the problem that they're facing right now, and how can I help them solve whatever that they're facing right now? So the third thing I want to share is, I call this the 3 levels of thinking, right? The first level of thinking is when we think about how people are judging us, right? How do I look? Am I speaking coherently, right? Am I smiling, right? That kind of self-judgment places a lot of barriers, a lot of mental obstacles in front of us, right? And if we can remove that level 1 thinking, which is a self-judgment, right, it becomes slightly easier. But then there's going to be a level 2 thinking. Level 2 thinking is how others are judging me. How are they seeing me? Are they seeing me in a good light, right? Or are they looking at me in a way that I don't like it, right? So the level 2 judgment is also another mental barrier. But how do we get out of this self-judgment? How do we get out of this other people's judgment, right? Is to go into level 3 thinking. By thinking about this person in front of me right now, how can I help him, right? How can I help Rash? What does Rash want, right? If I can help you to have a good interview today, right? How do I achieve that, right? How do I help you to answer your questions and get what you want? If I can just focus on this person in front of me every single time and think about what they want and help them achieve what they want, the focus is not on me. I'm going from my head to my heart, right? And then it becomes much easier to then not think about myself, not think about, am I speaking coherently? Am I just mumbling, right? Am I not making sense? But knowing that whatever that I say, someone is going to take something out of it. And that they will be taking something out of it. And they will be taking whatever that they need out of it. And when I adopt this level 3 thinking, that's when I realize that in my trainings, in my speaking, I get a lot of kind of like downloads. So the message just come across me to the audience, and sometimes I even forget what I say after that. Yeah, but I find that if you're a leader, if you're an influencer, if you're someone who leads a community, adopting level 3 thinking is going to help you significantly just get over ourselves and not focus on our own insecurities or our own fears, right? But at the same time, you're able to serve your audience and be able to truly come from the heart.
Amazing, amazing. So beautiful. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, most welcome.
I think you all enjoyed it so much, huh? So many nuggets of wisdom. Right. Thank you so much for sharing. Anyways, Huihui, one final question for you to wrap up this entire interview, which is this: for the aspiring entrepreneur who has a message and a mission to impact the world, but who is just afraid to take that first step, what's the one piece of advice you give them to move forward?
Think about the people that you can actually impact and not focus on yourself, right?
Fantastic.
Because you are the missing puzzle piece. You're the missing puzzle piece in other people's lives. And the problem is, if you keep focusing on yourself, they're not going to be able to complete that puzzle. And the only way they can complete that puzzle is if you show up. And when you start to think about if you are that missing piece and we start to show up for them, right, you will become unstoppable. And people are going to thank you for that and
Awesome.
make that the meaning of your life.
Beautiful. Show up. Show up.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for sharing, Huihui. I really appreciate ladies coming and sharing as well. Right. Again, guys, make sure, again, if you've enjoyed it. Sorry, one final thing. How can everybody learn more about you? Where can they actually follow you and your movement?
Right. They can actually follow me on Facebook. Right. I'm on Facebook, Huihui Lake. And that would be where I share my stories and my posts. and where I share my insights as well.
And make sure you do follow her. It's absolutely inspiring, right? So do follow her and her journey. And again, also make sure you follow our podcast, Millionaire Podcast. Give it a like. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And we'll see y'all on our next episode.